Ladies and gentlemen, fear is the greatest enemy of success. It lurks in the shadows of the mind, whispering doubts, poisoning dreams, and keeping you from claiming the destiny that is rightfully yours. But today I tell you this: fear is not real. It is an illusion, a phantom created by hesitation and doubt. And like all illusions, it can be shattered. Key point 1, fear is an illusion. Fear is one of the most deceptive forces in the human mind. It feels real, it appears powerful, and it often dictates our decisions. Yet the truth is that fear is nothing more than a mental mirage, a fabrication of our thoughts that only holds as much power as we allow it to. Fear is not a tangible force. It cannot touch you. It cannot physically harm you. And it has no real existence outside of your imagination. What you fear is not the actual event or circumstance, but rather your perception of it. The moment you change that perception, fear begins to dissolve. The greatest trick fear plays on the mind is making you believe that it is protecting you. It whispers that you should stay in your comfort zone, that stepping into the unknown is dangerous, and that failure is something to be avoided at all costs. But this is a lie. Fear is not your protector, it is your prison. It limits your potential, stifles your growth, and keeps you from achieving what you were meant to accomplish. Every time you give in to fear, you reinforce its hold on your life. But the moment you expose it as an illusion, its grip begins to weaken. Think about the last time fear stopped you from taking action. Maybe it was speaking up in a meeting, starting a new business, or pursuing a dream that burned inside you. What happened? Did fear come true, or was it all in your mind? Most of the time, the things we fear never actually happen. We create worst-case scenarios in our heads, convincing ourselves that disaster is inevitable. But if you look back at your life, you will see that the fears you once had have either never materialized, or, if they did, they were not as catastrophic as you imagined. Fear thrives on uncertainty. It fills in the blanks of the unknown with negative assumptions, convincing you that failure, rejection, or embarrassment are guaranteed outcomes. But if fear has the power to create a negative illusion, then you also have the power to create a positive one. Instead of imagining failure, imagine success. Instead of expecting rejection, expect acceptance. Instead of seeing obstacles, see opportunities. The mind is a tool. Fear misuses it, but faith and confidence can reclaim it. History is filled with individuals who have proven that fear is an illusion. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, yet he never let fear stop him. Henry Ford had no formal education, yet he built one of the greatest automobile empires the world has ever seen. These individuals did not allow the illusion of fear to dictate their destiny. They saw beyond it. They acted in spite of it, and because they did, they achieved greatness. If fear were real, these men would have never succeeded. If you want to destroy fear, you must train your mind to challenge it. The next time you feel fear creeping in, ask yourself, is this real, or is it just my mind playing tricks on me? More often than not, you will realize that there is no real danger, only hesitation and self-doubt disguised as fear. The only way to break free is to confront these thoughts head-on and replace them with truth. Fear also has a way of disguising itself as logic. It convinces you that playing it safe is smart, that waiting for the right time is wise, and that avoiding risks is the responsible thing to do. But logic without courage is just another form of fear. The right time will never come, and there is no safety in stagnation. The only way to grow is to move forward, regardless of the uncertainty. If you wait until fear disappears, you will wait forever. The most successful people in the world are not fearless. They have simply recognized fear for what it is: a lie, an illusion, a trick of the mind. They have felt the fear and acted anyway. And when they did, they realized something life-changing. Fear was never real to begin with. Key point 2, action destroys fear. Fear thrives in inaction. The longer you hesitate, the stronger fear becomes. It feeds on your doubts, magnifies your worries, and paralyzes your ability to move forward. But fear has one fatal weakness: it cannot survive in the presence of action. The moment you take action, no matter how small, you begin to strip fear of its power. Action is the antidote to fear, the force that dismantles hesitation and replaces uncertainty with momentum. Consider this. When you first learned how to ride a bicycle, fear was present. You worried about falling, about losing balance, about crashing. But the moment you actually got on the bike and started pedaling, fear began to shrink. With each attempt, your confidence grew and fear lost its grip on you. This is how fear always works. It is strongest before you take the first step, but the moment you engage in action, fear begins to crumble. The problem is, most people never reach this state. They let fear convince them to stay still, to keep waiting, to seek more reassurance before acting. But reassurance never comes from waiting, it comes from doing. Fear and action cannot coexist. When you act, you force your brain to shift focus from what if to what next. Instead of dwelling on possible failure, you begin to problem solve. You start adjusting, learning, and adapting. And with each small step forward, fear loses its influence over you. This is why successful people move quickly. They do not give fear time to build up. They understand that hesitation is the breeding ground for doubt, so they act before fear has a chance to grow. The most dangerous form of fear is the one disguised as overthinking. Many people believe they are being cautious, analyzing every possible scenario before making a decision. But in reality, they are just stalling. Overthinking is fear's way of keeping you frozen, making you believe that you need more time, more information, more certainty before you act. But the truth is, no amount of thinking will ever eliminate uncertainty. The only way to gain clarity is to step forward and face the unknown directly. Action is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The first step might feel terrifying, but each successive step becomes easier. This is why the most confident people in the world are those who practice boldness daily. They train themselves to act in the face of fear until taking action becomes second nature. They don't wait for confidence to appear before taking action. They take action and confidence follows. Fear tricks you into believing that you must feel ready before you act. But the truth is, you will never feel ready. Readiness is an illusion, just like fear itself. If you wait for the perfect moment, you will wait forever. The only way to build confidence is to do the very thing that scares you. Each time you step forward despite fear, you weaken its hold on you. And the more you push forward, the more fearless you become. Not because fear disappears, but because you have trained yourself to move forward in spite of it. The secret of overcoming fear lies in small actions. You don't have to make a massive leap. Even the smallest step forward disrupts fear's power. Want to start a business? Make the first phone call. Want to get in shape? Take a 5-minute walk. Want to improve your social skills? Say hello to a stranger. Small actions compound over time, and before you know it, you have built the courage to tackle even your biggest fears. Action is a habit. The more you act, the less fear controls you. The more you wait, the stronger fear becomes. Every moment you hesitate, you are feeding fear. Every moment you act, you are destroying it. The choice is always yours. Will you feed fear or will you destroy it? Key point 3, reprogram your thinking. Your mind is the battlefield where fear either thrives or dies. Every fear you experience is a direct result of the way your mind has been conditioned over time. Since childhood, you have been programmed by society, by family, by past experiences, and even by your own self-doubt to believe in limitations. You've been told what is possible and what is not, what is safe and what is risky, what you should and shouldn't do. But here is the truth. The mind can be reprogrammed, and when you change the way you think, you change the way you experience fear. Fear is nothing more than a habitual way of thinking. It is not something you are born with. It is something you learned. And just as you learn to fear, you can unlearn it. The first step in this process is to become aware of your inner dialogue. Every day your mind is filled with thoughts, and if those thoughts are rooted in doubt, hesitation, or negativity, fear will continue to control you. But if you consciously replace those thoughts with powerful, intentional affirmations, You will begin to dismantle fear from the inside out. Words have power, and the words you speak to yourself shape your reality. If you constantly say, "I can't do this," your brain will accept it as truth. If you repeatedly think, "What if I fail?" your subconscious will assume failure is inevitable. But if you replace those thoughts with, "I am capable, I am strong, and I will succeed," you are rewiring your brain to believe in your ability to overcome obstacles. The mind cannot hold two opposing beliefs at the same time. If you consistently feed it with courage, there will be no room for fear. One of the most effective ways to reprogram your thinking is through visualization. Your brain does not distinguish between imagination and reality. When you repeatedly picture yourself succeeding, achieving your goals, and overcoming challenges, your mind starts to accept this as truth. Top athletes, entrepreneurs, and world leaders use visualization to train their minds for success. If you see yourself as fearless in your mind, you will begin to act fearless in reality. Another powerful technique is questioning your fears. Most people allow fear to take control without ever challenging it. But if you stop and ask yourself, is this fear logical? Is it real? What is the worst that can happen? You will often realize that your fears have no solid foundation. Many fears are just exaggerated scenarios created by the mind. By analyzing them, you weaken their grip on you. Instead of reacting emotionally to fear, you can train yourself to respond logically and rationally. Your environment also plays a massive role in shaping your mindset. If you are surrounded by negative people who constantly reinforce fear and doubt, your mind will adopt those same limitations. But if you surround yourself with individuals who think boldly, who act courageously, and who refuse to let fear dictate their lives, their mindset will begin to influence yours. The people you spend time with shape your beliefs. Choose wisely. Breaking free from fear-based thinking requires daily effort. Just as you train your body through exercise, you must train your mind to think differently. Reading empowering books, listening to motivational speeches, and writing down your goals and affirmations are all ways to reinforce a fearless mindset. The more you practice, the stronger your mental resilience becomes. Eventually, confidence becomes your default state, and fear no longer holds the same power over you. The mind is the most powerful tool you possess. If you let fear control it, you will remain trapped. But if you take control, if you consciously reprogram your thinking, you will become unstoppable. Fear exists only in the mind, and when you change your mind, you destroy fear at its core. Key point 4, failure is a tool, not an enemy. One of the greatest lies you have been told is that failure is something to fear. From an early age, you were conditioned to believe that mistakes mean defeat, that setbacks define your worth, and that failing at something is a sign that you are not good enough. But this is a false belief, one that has kept millions trapped in mediocrity. The truth is, failure is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. Every failure you experience is a stepping stone to success, a lesson designed to make you stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the greatness that awaits you. The most successful people in history have one thing in common. They failed more times than most people even attempted to try. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times before creating the light bulb. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was cut from his high school team. Walt Disney was fired from his first job because he was told he lacked creativity. If these individuals had viewed failure as a sign to stop, the world would never have known their greatness. Instead, they saw failure for what it truly is, a tool for growth. Fear of failure is the reason most people never start. They hesitate, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect plan. But perfection is an illusion. There is no success without failure, no progress without setbacks. Every failed attempt is a necessary part of the journey. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a requirement for it. The only real failure is quitting, because the moment you stop trying, you guarantee defeat. Think about how you learned to walk as a child. You fell hundreds of times. yet you never stopped trying. Your failures were never seen as signs of weakness. They were part of the process, and with every fall, you adjusted, learned, and improved. But somewhere along the way, society convinced you that failure was something to be ashamed of. It convinced you to fear mistakes rather than embrace them. But what if you return to the mindset of a child? Fearless, relentless, and willing to fall as many times as it took to succeed. Failure is not personal. It does not mean you are unworthy, untalented, or incapable. It simply means that you have found a method that does not work, and now you are one step closer to finding what does. The problem is that most people take failure as a personal attack on their identity. Instead of separating themselves from the failure, they internalize it. But failure is just an event. It is not who you are. When you detach your identity from failure, you free yourself to learn, grow, and keep moving forward. The greatest lessons in life come from failure. Every setback reveals something you didn't know before. It exposes weaknesses that need to be strengthened, strategies that need to be adjusted, and mindsets that need to be changed. The people who fear failure the most are the ones who never take the time to analyze it. But those who study their failures, who ask, "What can I learn from this?" are the ones who turn setbacks into comebacks. They use failure as a sharpening tool, refining their skills until success becomes inevitable. Failure also builds resilience. Every time you fail and get back up, you develop a level of mental toughness that cannot be broken. The reason why successful people seem fearless is not because they never fail. It is because they have failed so many times that they no longer fear it. They have trained their minds to see failure as fuel, not as a stop sign. The more you expose yourself to failure, the less intimidating it becomes. Over time, you build an unshakable mindset, one that welcomes challenges, embraces uncertainty, and sees obstacles as opportunities rather than threats. Fear of failure is an illusion designed to keep you small. The moment you shift your perspective and start seeing failure as a tool rather than a threat, you become unstoppable. Failure is not the end of the road. It is the bridge that leads to success. The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the stronger you become. And the stronger you become, the less power fear has over you. Failure is not your enemy, it is your greatest ally. Key point 5, build unshakable faith in yourself. The most powerful weapon against fear is not found in books, external validation, or the opinions of others. It is found within you. It is the faith you have in yourself. Faith is the inner belief that no matter what obstacles you face, no matter how uncertain a path may seem, you will find a way to overcome, conquer, and succeed. Fear loses its grip the moment you develop unshakable faith in your abilities, in your purpose, and in the unseen forces that are working in your favor. Without faith, fear dominates. With faith, fear dissolves. Faith is not something you are born with. It is something you must build consciously. Just like a muscle, faith strengthens through use. Every time you step into the unknown, every time you trust yourself to handle adversity, and every time you pursue a goal despite your doubts, you are exercising faith. And with every act of courage, that faith grows. Those who seem fearless are not free from uncertainty. They have simply developed faith so strong that it overpowers the voice of fear. Faith does not remove the possibility of failure. It just convinces you that failure will never be the end. Many people think faith is about trusting in luck or hoping that things will work out. But real faith is rooted in self-trust, in knowing that no matter what circumstances arise, you have the power to adapt, to fight, and to prevail. Faith means believing in your capacity to learn, to grow, and to recover from any setback. Fear convinces you to doubt yourself, to focus on your weaknesses, and to underestimate your potential. Faith, on the other hand, reminds you of your strength, your resilience, and the endless possibilities within you. To build unshakable faith, you must first silence the negative inner voice that constantly questions your worth. Every time you say to yourself, "I am not good enough, I can't do this," or "what if I fail," you are programming your mind to live in fear. But when you declare, I am capable, I will overcome, I have everything I need to succeed, you rewire your mind to operate from a foundation of faith. The words you speak to yourself matter. Your internal dialogue will either feed your fears or fuel your faith. You must choose which voice to strengthen. Faith is also built through evidence. Every challenge you have overcome in the past, every difficulty you have survived, and every goal you have achieved are proof of your ability to succeed. But most people forget their victories the moment they face new obstacles. If you take time to reflect on the hardships you have already conquered, you will realize that you are far stronger than you give yourself credit for. Your past triumphs are the foundation on which your present faith can stand. Environment shapes faith. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, discouragement, and doubt, your faith will weaken. But if you surround yourself with inspirational voices, stories of triumph, and people who have dared to defy fear, your faith will flourish. What you read, listen to, and watch either reinforces faith or feeds fear. Successful people guard their minds fiercely, constantly filling them with empowering beliefs because they know that faith is the soil in which all achievement grows. Faith is the antidote to fear because it allows you to take action without needing certainty. Most people wait until they are sure they will succeed before taking the first step, but you will rarely have certainty at the beginning. Faith allows you to act when the path is still unclear, when the future is still hidden, and when the outcome is still uncertain. Fear says, what if it doesn't work? Faith says, even if it doesn't, I will learn, grow, and try again. The greatest victories in life come not from avoiding fear, but from walking straight into it with faith as your shield. Finally, remember that faith is a daily decision. You do not build unshakable faith in a single moment. It is something you must choose every day. Doubt will visit you. Fear will knock on your door. But if you wake up each day and consciously declare, I believe in myself, you are strengthening your faith one brick at a time. Over time, you will construct a fortress so strong that fear cannot penetrate it. Faith is the foundation on which you must build your life, because with it, there is nothing you cannot overcome. Key point 6, surround yourself with courageous minds. Fear is contagious, but so is courage. The people you surround yourself with have a powerful influence on your mindset, your beliefs, and ultimately your actions. If you constantly spend time with individuals who hesitate, doubt themselves, and live in fear, their energy will inevitably infect you. But if you immerse yourself in an environment filled with bold thinkers, risk-takers, and action-oriented people, you will naturally absorb their fearless mindset. The company you keep will either fuel your courage or strengthen your fears. Many people underestimate how much their social circle shapes their reality. Every conversation, every interaction, and every piece of advice you receive from those around you either reinforces confidence or plants seeds of doubt. If you share an ambitious goal with a fearful person, they will immediately list all the reasons why it won't work. They will tell you to be realistic, to play it safe, and to avoid unnecessary risks. But if you share that same goal with someone who's already conquered fear, they will encourage you, challenge you, and push you to move forward despite uncertainty. The difference between success and failure often lies in the people you allow into your life. Your brain is wired for social conditioning. It naturally adopts the behaviors and mindsets of those you interact with most frequently. This is why highly successful people are intentional about their relationships. They understand that if they want to think big, they cannot afford to be surrounded by small-minded individuals. They seek out mentors, join mastermind groups, and cultivate friendships with people who embody the courage and confidence they aspire to develop. They know that exposure to greatness breeds greatness. One of the fastest ways to destroy fear is to immerse yourself in an environment where fear has no place to exist. Think about this. If you are constantly surrounded by people who take bold actions every day, whether in business, fitness, or personal growth, your brain will begin to normalize courage. What once seemed risky will start to feel ordinary. What once terrified you will become part of your new comfort zone. The mind adapts to its surroundings, and if you place yourself in a fearless environment, fear will naturally begin to fade. This principle applies not just to people, but also to the information you consume. The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, and the content you absorb daily all contribute to your mental environment. If you constantly feed your mind with news about failure, negativity, and danger, your subconscious will be conditioned to expect the worst. But if you fill your mind with stories of triumph, resilience, and boldness, your brain will be reprogrammed to think fearlessly. What you feed your mind determines what you believe is possible. However, surrounding yourself with courageous minds does not mean you must cut ties with every fearful person in your life. Instead, it means being selective about whose opinions you allow to shape your decisions. You can love family and friends who may live in fear, but you must guard your dreams from their doubts. When you are in the process of overcoming fear, you must protect your energy. Do not share your biggest goals with those who will only water them with uncertainty. Instead, seek validation from those who have already conquered the fears you are trying to defeat. Courageous people do not just inspire you, they hold you accountable. When you are surrounded by individuals who take risks and face their fears head-on, you will feel compelled to do the same. They will challenge you when you hesitate, push you when you feel like giving up, and remind you of your own strength when fear tries to make you forget. The right people will not let you settle for a life ruled by doubt. They will demand greatness from you because they see the potential you may not yet recognize in yourself. If you truly want to destroy fear forever, you must choose your environment wisely. Build relationships with people who embody confidence, who take action without hesitation, and who refuse to let fear dictate their lives. The more time you spend in their presence, the more their mindset will become your own. Fear is powerful, but courage is even more contagious. Surround yourself with it, and soon you will find that fear no longer has a place in your world.